You're an interesting person to start with when we think about the future of marketing, because you're kind of Janus-facing, right? 125 years back. Shagata will get to you in a minute. You might trump that record. We want you, in the context of that history, Mehrnosh, to talk about the future. You've had campaigns like Musibat Batake Nehi Ate. How's my Hindi?
That's right.
And the collective consciousness, which were a deliberate attempt by Godrej to take stock, think about what you've got, and think about the future. How do you think about the future, Mehrnosh?
Very clearly, the future has been changing to a very large extent over the past few years. So when we did Musibat Batake Nehi Ate, that was around 10 years back. That was around the thought that, trouble doesn't come announced. And it was around a campaign around safes. The penetration of safes worldwide is very, very low. And to a large extent, Indians, if you were to look at it, the core consumer insight was that, things are not going to happen to me. It's going to happen to everyone else. So that was the core insight. And therefore, we had to shock and awe. That was the core essence of the entire campaign. And therefore, we did Trouble Doesn't Come Announced, or Musibat Batake Nehi Ate, where a thief actually comes to a house and says that, can I come in? And then finally says that, I'm going to rob the house. So you relax, I know my job, and I'm going to do that. Or he asks for a lift and says that, where do you want to go to? He says, I want to come to your house and I want to rob that. So to a large extent, I think creative is still the king. This is something that is not going to change, whether it was the past or it is the current or the future. A lot of things have changed as far as marketing is concerned. Like around 8 or 10 years back, digital marketing hardly was there on the radar. But digital marketing to a significant extent has increased right now. And almost 40 to 50% of our marketing spends right now are on digital. So at that point of time, to a very large extent, TV was the king, but connected TV is the king right now. So things have changed drastically with respect to digital marketing. We are able to micro-segment, we are able to target the consumer basis, the need that he has, basis the vulnerability that he has, or basis the mindset that he has at that point of time. So he or she basis the micro-segmentation has become very, very relevant right now. And programmatic advertising as well as a lot of digital advertising on OTT is helping us currently today.
Okay, so huge amount of change in your career, right? But you're sticking up for the eternal values of creativity, in the sense that we've always had robbers after your valuables, and you believe that creativity is eternal. But before we get deeper into how marketing is going to develop, Mehrnosh, before you get to that, how institutionally does a huge group like Godrej even begin to conceive of the future? Do you employ futurologists? Do you forecast? How do you institutionally forecast the future?
That's a very good question, Jasper, and it's a complex answer which I'm going to give. So the Godrej Group is 126 years right now, and we have close to around 14 businesses, which is a mix of B2C and B2B. So depending upon the business and the challenges that we have, as well as the marketing challenges that we have, the entire marketing strategy changes. So like for instance, for B2C, there is some place where there is category development that needs to be done, like for instance, security solutions like safes. Whereas in some cases like appliances, there is brand choice. And then there are very difficult businesses like B2B, where the dynamics changes completely, where the consumer needs to know what your manufacturing power is, and therefore digital marketing to a large extent plays a very important role, which includes AR and VR, and having to ensure that a person sitting in the US is going to be able to see the factory based in Bombay as well through the walkthroughs that we have, etc. So a lot of these things changes. Sustainability over the past few years has significantly gained importance, not only worldwide, but India as well. And therefore, we did an event, you just touched upon Conscious Collective some time back. We did an event called Conscious Collective, which was around sustainability and architecture, which spoke about the importance of sustainability in everything that we do, whether it is at home or at work. And we targeted interior decorators as well as architects through a series of collaborators, speakers, as well as opinion leaders around that.
And I'm curious actually, because with a topic like sustainability, and when one's coming from the context of a century-plus old business, how hard was it to get people focused on that sustainable future? Was the legacy business a kind of impediment?
So that's a very interesting question. As far as sustainability is concerned, it has gained a lot of importance worldwide. So for the B2B businesses, sustainability is very, very important. If you are sustainable, if you have good and green practices, you gain a lot of points with respect to brand choice. But for B2C businesses in India, even right now, especially amongst the older audiences, sustainability is not very important. Value for money is important. But when it comes to the younger generation, they are much more conscious about how sustainable you are, how good and green you are, etc. And therefore, it plays a much more important role there.
Yeah, and we'll talk to, when we get to Kevin at the Jamie Oliver Group, we'll talk about the idea that these days, for a Gen Z consumer, if you don't not only have a sustainable story, but an authentic sustainable story, you ain't getting in the door, right?
That's right.
It's
absolutely.
This future is a must.
That's right.
Okay, and when you're a Godrej veteran, right? I think I can say veteran. 25 years.
25 years.
Albeit your profile says 21.
25 years young, yeah.
25 years young. I'm totally with you, Mehrnosh. So you've seen it year in, year out. I mean, every year at about this time of year, The Economist has an article that says, how well did they forecast the future a year before? In your experience, how well have you forecast the future the year before that? Have you been good at it? And why are you good at it?
To a large extent, I think we have been good at it. And it all comes back to the basics. You know, there are few things which don't change years over. So marketing has changed with respect to digital marketing, but being close to the consumer, understanding consumer insights, understanding trends, etc., is still very important. And the closer you are to the consumer, the closer you are to the customer when it comes to B2B, the better you are when it comes to forecasting the future.
Well, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because we haven't really defined the future, but from a consumer perspective, their future may be this evening, right? And in the course of a day, they change all the time. So thinking about them 10 years hence, when they change so much in a day, is an interesting thing, actually. So the advice, in a way, you're giving is focus on, the mother lode is the consumer.
You're absolutely right. And things are changing very, very fast. And therefore, we did an exercise right now which included revisiting our purpose, vision, and mission statements, as well as our values. And there are 3 things that we included in our values, which were very important for all our employees. The first one was consumer-centricity, which evolved from being very close to the consumer or the customer. The second one was entrepreneurship. Now, you hit the nail on the head when you said about Godrej being 126 years old, being an old legacy company, and therefore entrepreneurship became very, very important. Being nimble on your feet, being able to take quick decisions, being able to own the business, etc., becomes very important. And third one is environment stewardship. That is our closeness to the environment. That is something that the Godrej Group always has been known for. So we revisited these values and we ingrained this in amongst all our consumers and our employees, most importantly, in order to ensure that they follow the path.
Well, Mehrnosh, I think we could talk all day, but that's a great place to wrap up, because actually what you're telling us is the next 125 years is reinforced and to a certain extent assured by reinforcing the values of the last 125 years.
That's right, yeah.
Mehrnosh, we wish you all the best of luck for 2024. You've been a fantastic Trailblazers guest.
Thank you very much, Jasper. Thank you.